On today's Trophy Kids, we're talking about one thing and one thing only. Football being back. Let's go.
And welcome to Trophy Kids, presented by Bad News Media. It is September, I gotta look at the date, 3rd. That's bad. It's been a rough one already. It is a bloodbath up here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I hate sports gambling now. I hate college football. Since the 3 o'clock slides happened on Saturday, I haven't won a game. I started off 7-0, and then just bad beat after bad beat after bad beat has rolled my way. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. I actually kind of stayed away from like the game bets, and I was just doing stupid prop bets like score in the first 5.5 minutes. Like I was betting on quarterback yards. I was betting on like receptions for receivers, and that actually worked out very well for me. Especially like the score in the first 5.5 minutes. College, they fucking score so quickly, so that worked out very well for me. I was kind of trying to stay away from the like outcome of the game bets. I'm kind of wanting to watch some more games, a few more weeks maybe before I start betting that way. So I did all right.
So that was my initial strategy heading into the week. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it's a research week. I'm going to bet light, not going to bet a whole lot. I started off 7-0, just coming out of the gate smoking hot. I got the Miami one right on both the under and I hit the under, and I hit Miami. I had Hawaii over and Hawaii. I took UC. That hit. Started off great. Took Boise State versus Florida State, we'll get to in a moment. And then the 3 o'clocks started rolling around. This is what I hate. I hate a team that when you have it locked in, I had mentally checked out of this. Northwestern versus Stanford game. Bet them 6.5. 30 seconds left in the game. Northwestern is down 10-7 with the ball on the 22-yard line, their own 22-yard line. What do? They roll a right-handed quarterback out to the left as he's getting blitzed. He then fumbles it into the end zone, which Stanford recovers it and starts the bloodbath that has been my week ever since. Unreal. I hate you, Northwestern. Hate you.
Love it. Right-handed quarterback, roll him out to the left. Not ready for that.
He's got to switch to throw back around, which he then gets leveled by the guy coming down the corner and just fumbles. And then Northwestern could have recovered it and just taken the safety. No, the lineman was like, whatever, this game's over, and just like falls over, and then they recover it. So terrible beat on that. And then it only got worse, which I think we should talk about the Oregon-Auburn game because it was the game of the week. I had a note to myself in my phone. Do not drunk bet. That didn't go exactly as planned. I not only took Oregon, I bet them money line as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did not hit. What are our thoughts about the Oregon-Auburn game off the bat?
Fantastic game. Awesome game for sure. Justin Herbert came out looking like an NFL quarterback. Just came out like a stud. Threw all over the place. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of sad that Justin Herbert lost to a true freshman at Auburn. Like,
yeah.
I mean, as far as the Pac-12 goes, I mean, I know there's Washington, but Oregon I thought was the true threat. And they lost to Auburn, who honestly, I mean, Auburn's a great team, but they're going to finish third in their division in the SEC. Like, I mean, they're going to finish behind Alabama. They're going to probably finish behind LSU. And, I mean, they're not in the same division as Georgia, but Georgia on the other side is probably going to finish above. They'll probably finish fourth in the SEC total. And Oregon lost to them. So what I took from that game was I think even though we want a new Final Four, I still think it's going to be 2 SEC teams, Clemson and Oklahoma or Ohio State. I mean,
yeah.
That's what I took from that game. It's like, well, the Pac-12 isn't getting involved this year. So
here's a little stat for you I saw. Since 2008, the Pac-12 is 0-10 versus the SEC.
Wow.
0-10.
Wow.
Nuts. I mean, that is a sorry-ass conference. That conference, the Conference of Champions, like, get out of here with this nonsense, is sorry. I will say this. I live bet the Oregon game because initially, like you said, Herbert came out looking like he should be the first number 1 pick overall. You could see people on Twitter tweeting, like, why did this kid stay another year?
Yeah.
And then that Oregon defense, which historically has been soft, looks pretty good. Like, they were handling themselves against a formidable opponent for their skill set, we'll say. But you're right. It all collapsed like Pac-12 teams do. It went downhill late. Bo Nix I mean, you cannot make up the story of Bo Nix. Like
Pretty awesome.
he just had the greatest weekend of his life on and off the field. So that was pretty cool. But the fact that Oregon blew that is like the most classic, not only Oregon thing, but just Pac-12 thing in general. And that's why you should almost always stay away from Pac-12 bets unless they're playing each other, because it is never going to end happy for you. Unless you bet Stanford against Northwestern.
Yeah, don't do that. Unless they're playing each other and you can hammer the over. I mean, yeah, as far as them competing this year, it kind of just showed no, it's not going to happen. I mean, they lost to, again, the fourth best team in the SEC.
Yeah, and I was thinking too during that game because I thought Oregon was going to wrap it up. Foolish on me.
I did too. I'm with you though.
Yeah, I was like, damn, these guys are going to be a problem because they finally seem to have like some bite to the defense. The offense with Justin Herbert, who got hurt, I think a little. I don't know if he's like officially going to be out or anything. I didn't take a look, but he got banged up at the end, which should have been a late hit call, by the way. That was nonsense. Yes. Whatever. And that would have then the game's over.
Correct.
That was absolute garbage. But you still got to win the game. You still can't let them drive down like they did. But I thought they were going to be a real problem. Like I was like, oh shit, we might actually get like a decent Pac-12 team. Now the Pac-12's only hope is Washington, who did look good, but Washington's going to do Washington things probably at the end of the season and just flat.
Yes.
The other notable game I had, because I won this, Boise State versus Florida State's the exact same team they were last year. They are soft in the second half. Did you see that Taggart's blaming the loss on hydration?
I did not see that. I'm not surprised to see that, though. I mean, they just completely collapsed. I mean, they were dominating them. Like, it was to the point where I was just like, it wasn't like I was not getting good reception on my laptop while I had other games on the big screen. I was just like, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And then I look on my phone and I'm like, okay, I need to get this. I need to get my laptop working here. And I started watching. I was just like, wow. Just Florida State, second half collapse. I mean, we've seen it before.
Yeah. I mean, Boise State, a team who does not deal with humidity, was light years ahead of them in conditioning and just bully balled them in the second half. I mean, they were down 18 in a true home game for Florida State because they got moved from Jacksonville. And
I was about to say, they moved the location on Boise State and they come in just no problem.
No problem. And with a true freshman quarterback.
Exactly.
If you're a Florida State fan, that is a sorry-ass way to start the season, especially given I think Florida State fans got a little over their skis this year, thinking that it was going to be a decent year. It's going to be a bad year for y'all.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah. Which brings me to my next thought with the worst beat of the week, Tennessee losing to Georgia State.
Ooh.
I don't know what you do if you are a Tennessee fan. Tennessee's athletic department should just be abolished at this standpoint because it is so bad. I know eventually it'll probably come back in like 50 years, but like to lose to a 25-point underdog Georgia State, to pay them to beat you in your home on opening day when fans legit thought this season was going to be different, that is sorry.
That's very sorry. They paid Georgia State, I think it was $1 million to play them. They paid them $1 million to beat them on their own turf, embarrass them. And I don't love Tennessee, so I'm cool with it. When I think of Tennessee, I think Clay Travis. I'm not fond of him, so so I don't. I don't like Tennessee. The bottom half of the SEC really did not show up too well. I mean, South Carolina on the other hand, they crumbled. They threw a game away. Real ugly. I mean, Georgia, beat the shit out of Vandy. So you knew that would happen. But, the bottom half of the SEC did not look good. But, the Tennessee being the worst of the bunch.
Yeah. The SEC went 7-4 this weekend. Like, the problem, too, here is, like, you look at, say, like, I don't know. Say Auburn loses to Tennessee later this year, which isn't going to happen. That's a better loss than if they lost to like some sorry ass team in like the Pac-12 or something. But I could make the argument that the bottom half of the SEC is one of the worst in probably out of the Big Five. Like I think there's a real argument. They're obviously super top heavy, so I don't think there's an argument there. I still think if you look at the top 4 teams in the SEC, it's probably the best top 4 out of every conference. But there's a real question to be had about whether or not they are still the overall best conference, because the bottom half is trash.
I would agree with that. I mean, if you want to look from top to bottom at all the conferences, I can see the argument how you can find a more balanced conference, without a doubt. I mean,
yeah, they're not the worst.
Probably.
I shouldn't say the worst.
I mean,
yeah, they're not the worst conference, top to bottom.
No, they're not the worst, but I agree that as far as talent from top to bottom, they're probably not the best. They have the best teams, no doubt about that. But I do agree that from top to bottom, I think the Big Ten's probably better.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, there's some sorry teams. I mean, Kentucky's had a few good years, but Kentucky as a football school has been awful for decades. I mean, just not good. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely some bad teams in the SEC this year for sure.
Yeah, for sure this year, and that's not always going to be true. But for this year, I think the real question and the real problem is it's been so ingrained in our brains that I think when it comes down to the committee time, the SEC is going to get kind of, and it's only the first week. Like this, we are very reactionary too, because like it could turn ship, but if it doesn't, other conferences do have that problem because the SEC has done such a great job of branding themselves as the best conference out there, and they have been for a long time. But that shine is starting to wear off. And if you're an SEC fan, they're never going to admit that. But in the back of their heads, there is that concern.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the SEC, a lot of times, especially early, I mean, a team like Tennessee starts off 2-0, and a lot of times is ranked like 23rd, and then they shit the bed. Kind of the same deal with South Carolina. I mean, they'll generally be like a 19 to 25 ranked team. But I mean, this year Tennessee just lost to Georgia State. Yeah. So like,
so bad.
I mean, yeah. So you can't even bring that argument where they have like a lot of like decent middle of the pack type teams, and they don't even have that.
Yeah. Now the one that got away from the SEC, because I think it's a good time to transition to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts had himself a day. I mean, his stat line, if you're an Oklahoma fan, the grin that you must have had going into work this week was the biggest ever. His passing stats alone, 332 yards, completion percentage of 87%, 3 touchdowns. I mean, average yard per throw, average yards per throw, 14.4. And that's not even including his rushing yards. Which he had 16 attempts, 176 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. That man went off.
Absolutely nasty. I mean, if you're kind of like you and me, we love college football. We're not passionate about one team. If there's a guy and a team to root for this year, for me personally, it's Jalen Hurts in Oklahoma. I mean, how could you not root for Jalen Hurts? He's awesome. I remember I was gonna bet on his total passing yards. It was like 289 was what was being offered. I was like, Jalen Hurts is not gonna throw for 289 yards. I didn't make the bet. And I'm just watching the game. I'm like, shit, I'm glad I didn't place that wager. Because Jalen was just throwing strikes all over the place. And he looks faster as a player in Oklahoma.
So much faster. It's crazy what happens when you take a athletic, good, smart quarterback out of a boring-ass system that Alabama runs. I mean, don't get me wrong, Alabama's been great because of the offensive weapons, but it is like you put him into a creative offense where there's just a lot going on, and that man, it is going to be extremely fun to watch him because he is obviously everything's clicking for him, and he's got the scheme that fits him best now.
Right, and prior to literally Saturday, I didn't realistically think Jalen Hurts could go to the NFL and be a quarterback, but I'm like, whoa. Maybe if he goes and gets onto a team with a creative offensive coordinator, I'm like, oh shit, maybe he can play in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, his narrative has done a 360. I think the majority of people, myself included, thought Jalen Hurts is like an average quarterback. He'll probably do decent in Oklahoma because it's hard. If you're an average quarterback, you should probably do well at Oklahoma. But he took that and raised the bar so high. It was nuts.
I don't mean to sound ridiculous, but that game was better than any game Kyler Murray had last year. I mean, it was just insane. I was just like, holy shit.
I know it's like Houston, but still, like Kyle Murray played some sorry ass teams too last year. And this game, oh man, have yourself a day, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I did not expect that. I loved it though.
Yeah, another great one. The one kind of topic I kind of forgot to mention is co-host on Thursday, Tim, who's coming back, he kind of brought it up too. For some people out there, and it reminds me because Nebraska, like the hype train coming into Nebraska this year has been super high, and they didn't get off the block great, I didn't think, against Southern Alabama. Like they still won, put up 35 points. But it brings me back to this theory for some of you, mostly Michigan State fans, because the Michigan State offense looks sorry. Let's remember, guys, it is only week 1. It's probably going to take 2 to 3 weeks for offenses to really start. Like, yeah, there was the Oklahoma explosion in offense, Clemson who exploded and all them. But for most teams, it does take a couple weeks. It's easier to play defense initially. So just keep it in mind. Don't hit the panic button just yet. But we've got some games coming up this week that'll be fun. And I think the overall sense off week 1 is it's going to be an interesting-ass year.
I agree. And like, don't panic. I mean, Trevor Lawrence threw 2 picks. He threw 4 all last year. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to that game, A&M game, Clemson A&M. That's going to be awesome. A&M should have beat them last year, and I think A&M better this year, so maybe they will. I'd love to see it. I don't like Clemson, so I'd love to see.
Same.
I'd love to see A&M do it. So yeah, that's probably the game. I think that's probably the game most people are looking most forward to.
That game in LSU versus Texas at 7:30.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be a banger. That I'm excited because Joe Burrow, talk about a quarterback who also exploded on the scene. He had himself a day too where he was just like, oh shit, LSU's got a quarterback now. That's something new. We haven't seen that since Jamarcus.
That is new. Yeah, great. Yeah, for real.
It's gonna be that's gonna be something interesting. That's all I really had. The slate, the games. You know, it wasn't the best slate of games, but you had some. It was a good week, good opening week where you had something every night. Notre Dame, I didn't realize this. Notre Dame's got to go to both Georgia and Michigan. So if you're a Notre Dame fan, just forget about making up playoffs. You ain't winning both those games.
There's no way. I don't see them beating Georgia. They can probably beat Michigan.
Maybe, yeah.
They're not beating Georgia.
They're not beating Georgia. Georgia. Woo.
Yeah, Georgia's.
Yeah. They're going to be the new Alabama, I think, because Kirby Smart has been recruiting the exact same way like Alabama has, and that team looks more like Alabama than Alabama looks like Alabama right now.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the NFL, our favorite. It's getting started this week. Football is back, but before we get into some of the games this week, there's been some news. I don't know what the hell is going on in Miami, but it seems like people are asleep at the switchboard because that Houston trade, for those of you who don't know, Houston picked up Tunsil and Kenny Stills for a bunch of picks. I mean, the Dolphins are they're going 76ers approach. The only difference, though, is you can legitimately get murdered on the field if you're throwing games. Like it is tough to tell grown-ass men to go out there when you put together a sorry-ass roster and put their bodies on the line and basically go through a car crash every single week.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for them to tank. I won't lie. I would have made the trade, though. That's so many picks they're getting. I mean, it's crazy. I was like, shit. So I would have made the trade, but, I mean, yeah, this year for the Dolphins and next year for the Dolphins. What's the coach's name? Brian Flores, I think is his name.
Yep. Yeah.
It may not be Brian, but I think his last name is Flores. I mean, I hope that he has a very long leash because he's going to win maybe 3 games in 2 years. And I hope Dolphins management understands that and doesn't fire him. I
feel bad for Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen? Oh, yeah.
My goodness. Talk about it, dude. Like, he's going from the Cardinals, who did nothing to protect him. Now, he is the backup right now, but we all know Fitzpatrick will probably fade out like week 5 or 6. Like, I wouldn't want to go on the field. I'd be like, no, coach, I'm good. I'm just going to sit here. I'm not trying to die today.
I mean, the guy's literally just gotten screwed. Like, he's never really gotten a chance yet, and that kind of sucks. And it seems like he's not going to even get a chance in Miami because they're going to tank for Tua or tank for Trevor, one of the two. So it kind of sucks for him.
Sucks. Yeah, it sucks because he was a decent prospect. I don't know why people hate him so much, but like it doesn't seem like he's getting a shot anywhere, and that does suck.
Yeah, I had no problems with him. I don't understand the hate, but
yeah,
whatever.
It's weird. It's a weird situation down there. Yeah. But Houston, they pick up good offensive lineman to protect their asset, Deshaun Watson, but they give away Javon Clowney to Seattle. If you're in the NFC West, that is one of the scariest divisions to be an offensive lineman in. The people you have to go up against week to week, Seattle has got some real
Seattle's front
potential
seven,
right now.
man. Oh my God. I mean, their front seven is ridiculous. And people don't understand about Jadeveon Clowney. I've been watching him since he was in college, literally like every single one of his games. People are like, yeah, he's never hit double-digit sacks. People don't understand Jadeveon Clowney lines up in all 7 front seven positions throughout a game. I mean, part of the reason why he doesn't have double-digit sacks is because he's taking 7 snaps at nose tackle. I mean, he's not going to get sacks there. But he's just causing massive havoc. I mean, it's just they don't understand Clowney's impact. And I think Houston will kind of notice it this year on defense. I think maybe they'll be okay because they're kind of going all in on this year. And they have a really good offense. So they could they'll survive without him. But I think there will be times where they'll notice Clowney's absence.
The big bet on J.J. Watt, and it's a very kind of Khalil Mack-esque kind of deal because J.J.'s going to get doubled now. I mean, That's the game plan. So it's like where you're going to have to create some opportunities elsewhere. And without him, those are some big shoes to fill. But yeah, very kind of – I could see that – it's obvious – I don't think it's going to have as big of an impact as Khalil Mack had with the Browns because that trade literally made them a Super Bowl contender. And I think Seattle was already sort of there. So, like, the raising the bar isn't as crazy. It's just the amount of talent that they are throwing at you on the defense side of the ball in Seattle is nuts. And it's like it's hard to make the argument that they are not going to win that division right now if healthy. Obviously, injuries just change that because I think the Rams are going to take a little bit of a step back now because of that Super Bowl kind of hangover, and what they're throwing at you in Seattle is a lot to deal with offensively, scheming wise.
Agreed.
It's a big bet on one.
Yeah, I still think it's it's the Rams division to lose, but I mean, you're right. I mean, they're coming off the Super Bowl type hangover. Gurley may not be Gurley.
Yeah.
So maybe Seattle could sneak it. I'd be surprised, but they might.
It's a daunting task, I think. It becomes more of a daunting task if you're the Rams to try to win that division now, because that is to try to offensive scheme against that defense. That's going to be a challenge, and that'll be super interesting. Those games are going to be awesome. Super interesting, which leads us, because we're talking about Khalil Mack, into one of the most – I think this might be the most excited I've been for the intro to the NFL, Packers-Bears. Talk about setting up a game. That has got a lot of interest for me. It's -3 right now. How are we feeling about Thursday night's opener, Packers versus Bears right now? Man, I can't talk.
I agree. I think it's an awesome first game. It's like the longest rivalry in the NFL. Plus last year, I think this might have been the Monday. It might have been the Sunday night game. I don't remember. But when Rodgers got hurt and came back all high on painkillers, that was kind of funny.
Saxon
where he had an accident. My knee. I mean, it was like this chill California dude suddenly has a cowboy accent.
Yeah, he's doing just fine.
Giggling the entire interview. I'm like, all right, yeah. So that game was awesome, and I mean, Packers Bears are always really good games.
Yep.
The Packers are just one. I think the Packers are such an unpredictable team this year. I could see them winning 6 games. I could see them winning 11 games.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting. I think the problem here is you're going up against a very good defense, and it's your first week when it's already super hard to start because the way training camp runs now, getting timing down, you're not really in full pads a lot. Like, you see offenses in the NFL start slow. They're implementing a whole new scheme. Yes, they have one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in the NFL, but I think it's just the advantage is the Bears right away because of that defense they have. They're bringing in a scheme they're familiar with offensively. They're returning a lot of good players there. I think the advantage goes Bears. I like Bears 3 at the 3. -3 because I think it's a lot of, not to say the Packers, like you said, I mean, I could see them winning 11 games, but I think it's going to be a slower start for them. And I think against the Bears, because it's easier to play defense week 1 through week 3 or 4, I would say, they have the strong advantage. And I like Bears -3.
I do as well. I agree. Just the Bears defense, especially early. I mean, you have like a fresh Khalil Mack. No nagging injuries, nothing going on with him right now. I mean, he's going to come out flying. So I do agree. I think the Bears definitely have an advantage. I like him on a 3 as well. I think they can. I mean, they can win by 10. They really can.
It's a great way to start the season, though. I love that the NFL put that on there Thursday night. Like, that's also I like college football. What they did, they kind of because in college football, you have so many cupcake games at the start of the season where you have, I think they took a note from college basketball, which gives us awesome right off the bat games where, yeah, we didn't have anything crazy, but we had some good games sprinkled in there that made it so every night there was something that was at least worth tuning into and then doing whatever else you were going to do. And they started with that Miami-Florida rivalry, which the game was sloppy, but great way to start. NFL's doing the same thing. Game. Yeah, they're giving us a great historic rivalry with good players, entertaining storylines, and guys you want to see on the field. I love it. I love football season.
Yep. Love it. Yep.
One thing I didn't realize, because I was looking over some of the lines for this weekend, they have since taken down the Cowboys Giants line because the Zeke news coming out that he might sign a deal, but that was only at 7, which I think is super favorable to the Giants. I don't know how you're laying a 7 number on that.
Yeah, that's tasty. That's very tasty.
I mean, it depends on what happens with Zeke. I know they'll adjust that line, but that's impressive. That's a line I'd be interested in. Any games this weekend standing out to you on the top end here?
I mean, the Skins are laying like 8.5, I think. Is the last I saw.
Yeah, I think they're still.
At first, I was liking the Skins, but the more I've thought of that, I think I may be hammering the Eagles in that.
Yeah, they're at 9.5 right now.
Oh, I just think we are kind of a disaster waiting to happen, and we just have no offense. I've heard that Trent Williams might show up, but I don't think he's going to show up in time. And I just think the Eagles' defense is just going to eat us alive. So, as much as it sucks to say, I think we are going to take a big L week 1.
Yeah, I could see that. I like the Chargers-Colts line. That's at 7. You're getting a deflated, and Chargers are even. That's an even payout on -7. Colts, I just feel like they got to be so deflated losing Luck.
Oh, yeah.
And just like, we're paying these backups, Jacoby Brissett and Brian Hoyer, ridiculous money because we got to spend money at this point. Like, I feel like that 7 line is pretty juicy for the Chargers.
That is tasty.
Yeah.
7?
Yeah, that's a -7 right now.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
I'm a fan of that. I think the Bengals -9.5 against, or +9.5 against the Seahawks is also kind of tasty because I think the Bengals are in for a rough year.
Bad year. I'm expecting a really bad year out of them.
Yeah.
I think we should mention, just as these savvy degenerates that we are, as soon as we got that Andrew Luck news, before our sites could even update, you and I were in there. We're taking the under 9.5. We're taking a no on them making the playoffs, and we're betting heavy on Houston to win the division. Yes. You and I were in there so fast. And then we checked 3 minutes later, they're all taken down. We're like, yep.
All taken down. Yeah. Yep. By the time I got the text message, by the time I sent the text messages to my other friends, because that was my last priority, it was getting in there. Me and you were just sitting next to each other like, go, 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 go. Just getting bets in. It was one of the finer moments of my life, if we're to be honest.
I'm seeing like Colts make the playoffs, no, +195. I'm betting my 401k on that. Are you kidding me? I mean,
that was a good news. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I think the opening week is fun. There's some juicy lines. Those are kind of the ones that stuck out to me just kind of right off the bat. We'll see how it plays. The first week or two, I tried to stay a little lighter, give my eyeballs the test, see what I like and don't like. But those are kind of the ones that I'm feeling right off the bat in this opening week. And with that, I kind of got nothing else. You got any final thoughts on the day before we wrap this up?
Nothing really. Who do your Tampa Bay Buccaneers play?
We got the 49ers. They haven't scored that game yet. Interesting way to start off the season, I think. But we'll see. I mean, Vegas hasn't released a line on that yet, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they're holding out, but we'll see. Or at least my site doesn't have a line yet out.
I also saw that, we've talked about this in the past, but I think the Jets are traveling 7,000 miles this year, which is nothing. The Raiders are traveling 40,000. I was just like, that's not even fair.
That's unreal.
The Jets don't go west of Pittsburgh.
But
you're still on the East Coast. They don't go west of Pittsburgh. If you think about it, they fly down to Miami. That's their furthest flight of the year. I mean, that's half their mileage right there, flying to Miami.
That's absolutely insane. And to think like the Raiders, getting screwed. The Bucs get screwed with that whole they go to the West Coast, then they come back, then they go to England, they come back, then they go back out to the West Coast. And it's like, What are we doing here,
It's
folks? Like,
crazy.
come
The Bucks
on.
were up there too. I mean, they were in the
Yeah.
30,000s. The Skins were only at like 11,000. Like, nice.
Well, you'll need that with that training staff. So
I know. Exactly. Limit travel.
My random thought well, not random thought. I saw this and I thought this was an interesting stat from CBS Sports. Did you know Kurt Warner made it every year he played a full 16 games? They went to the Super Bowl. He only had 3 seasons where he played a full 16 games. They went to the Super Bowl every year. He did that.
I didn't know that he was that injury prone.
I did not either. That was the most.
Are they mostly
surprising
like, does he miss like a game or two, or does he have like long games?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's kind of.
I don't remember him ever. Yeah, like the Super Bowl part wasn't the craziest thing. The craziest thing was he's only made it 16 games 3 times in his career. That was nuts.
Kind of shocked to hear that, but that's pretty cool though. I mean, I bet he's the only quarterback that can say that.
Yeah, probably. I would think so. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. But that was my final thought. Interesting fact of the day, courteous of CBS Sports Instagram. But that'll do it for us. We'll be back Friday to give you some college picks with Tim. And peace.
Later.